Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah, Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blend and smooth, like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Spartan HQ Network. You are at Operation Hangout. Of course, I got my guys in the back. They're excited. They're jumping up and down. Before we get into it, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button and be very bapalicious. Yeah, bapalicious. I'll go with that one. So let's get the first guy in here. He is from the dark side of the force. He is one of my really good friends. He is a variant, and he is the angry elf.
Hello there.
Hello there.
All right, let's
Or
get
should
the
I
next.
say, hello there.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So before we get your excitement, I see you're trying to match me here a little bit. I
Oh,
got
you're matching me.
I got the better one. I got this one from New York Comic Con, so this is a little nicer. So let's get the next guy in here. So he is the most incredible person in the world. He is the Gigolo himself, Groot, Black David. David, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a complete error in this space. The real Groot is actually Ghost of Sparta. I'm from
You've
the dark.
reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
We're not even 5 seconds into the show and he's already hit his limit.
I know.
This is gonna be one of those shows. You
I'm
know
from the
that,
dark
right?
continent. You gotta play that song from Maggie, where the guy came from the dark continent in the anime. That's my theme song, okay?
All right.
And I'm blocking like color
do
level.
your opening thoughts. Let's get the next person here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president himself. Mr. President, how you doing tonight?
First of all, there's an imposter obviously in here.
I think we all, David, you're the
So
only one
I'm
who are not
Batman.
matching us.
Yeah,
I don't
one of
have the
We
these
should.
shirt.
things
This should be
ain't
like
like the
this.
other.
This is no. This is like that old game to tell the truth. So, I'm Batman. No, I'm Batman. So David, your job, since you're obviously not part of this, so you're gonna have to determine who the real Batman is.
That is very, very
I think
true.
Elf.
Very, very true.
All
But
right.
I'm Batman.
So before we get into it, Batman is a iconic pop culture icon, in my opinion. He he outpasses several generations from a very dark to a cartoon to a beyond. That I'm hoping to make a movie very soon of that. I'm really
You know
hoping to
it.
make a movie of that and beyond. But
Oh, I
we
hope.
all have a special place in their heart for Batman. I know one of my good friends, you know who I'm talking about, Paul already. Our friend Eric is gonna be screaming in the comments saying the 85 is a better one. I think Dark Knight was the best series ever. I think Heath Ledger's Joker was the best Joker ever created on fucking screen. I will say it. So I'll let you guys go one by one in the order you guys came in to open your thoughts and we'll get into it. Rob, you go first.
Awesome. Hey, Batman, dude. Nothing can like nothing can beat the Dark Knight. Freaking since 1939, he has been in, in entwined in pop culture, from comics to TV, movies, video games. Shoot, there's even a Prince song, Bat Dance. I mean, come on, you can't. Batmania took over in 1989, and it was phenomenal living through that. I, I mean, if I could pan the camera, I've got freaking shelves of Batman figures. I have enjoyed almost every single interpretation of Batman since, gosh, since uh, oh, I can't really damn it, what's his name? It'll come to me. Anyways, from the Batman TV show from the 60s. I mean, name a Batman that wasn't good. All right, George Clooney. Anyways, Batman, the guy give Batman freaking long enough time, he's gonna prepare and he's gonna kick your ass, and it doesn't matter who you are. With God, Batman, just I can't say enough. Batman's awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming from the dark continent that is I, Black David. Now, when it comes to Batman, well, let's put it like this: we're watching the Batman, the animated series, to watching the first Batman movie, Batman 1 and 2, with Keaton. Then they switch him out and put somebody else who I didn't think was a good Batman. I hate to say the Dark Knight Batman Begins, which to me is my most iconic movie. I think it picture perfect of what Batman meant to be. And the Joker from Heath Ledger, I hate to say that it's the Joker, and no Joker will be better than that Joker, hands down.
Why so
That's just my
serious?
point of view. Because when it come to living up to the actual standard, that is the cut above the rest. Any other Batman beside the one from Batman Begin and The Dark Knight? Uh, is you had to look at what is the actual character is, what Batman is meant to be. He put fear. Michael Keaton almost got it for me, but it's not the kind of fear I'm looking. I'm looking for the kind of fear that when you walk up behind a criminal, he has to piss on himself and crap on himself, knowing that, oh no, not this guy. I'm gonna go to hell with this guy. That kind of feelings. Michael Keaton is more like, oh shit, he gonna go crap on me this time. Fear, if you know what I mean. That's what I stand on. Pass it on.
Well, no question. I mean, Batman is obviously on the Mount Rushmore of superheroes, and I would even opine that Batman 1989 is on the pillar of greatest superhero movies ever. because most other superhero movies stand on its shoulders. There's three, if you want to say three movies, the most important superhero movies of all time is Superman the movie, 1978, Batman, 1989, Spider-Man, 2002. If I was going to add a fourth to the pillar, to the foundation, it's Iron Man, 2008. Because without those movies, we wouldn't have what we have now. And Batman did a total reset. Batman 89 did a total reset on the genre. Obviously, I'm Gen X, so I grew up on the 1960s TV show, which obviously as a kid, you kind of love the campiness of it and all. Even the original Batman movie, the 1966 movie with Batman using the shark repellent, it's as campy as it gets. And I got to admit that, I have to be in a special kind of mood in order to watch that movie again. But certainly of the times, and it was only on for 2 years. Ironically, it was only had like a 2 year run. But syndication, just like Star Trek, and it's interesting because Star Trek and Batman 66, they were around the same time, and they both found their footing
No,
in
you guys went
syndication.
online. Come on.
What's that?
Sorry about
I
that.
didn't
Sorry about
interrupt.
that.
Okay. I thought you were trolling. But again, I mean, it's interesting how Batman and Star Trek gained really their footing in syndication, and they kind of had a similar track. So you would see Batman, at least in the Northeast, you would see Batman in the afternoons after school, and then you would see Star Trek like around midnight, or after 11 p.m. In the Northeast. So they had similar tracks there. But I've my only call outs on Batman, at least in terms of the movie franchises. Again, I wasn't the Schumacher releases after Batman and Batman Returns. I think it definitely fell off. I wasn't in love with Val Kilmer and even George Clooney. Wasn't a fan of those entries. I thought they got almost campy, but in almost like in a bad way. So I think the Nolan series was a good reset from the sort of campy type of style that the latter movies came in. So I appreciate the Dark Knight series because of the seriousness that they took it. They treated Batman as a very serious character, probably even more so than even the Batman '89 film did. But I really appreciate how they built up over time. I love origin stories and how superheroes become who they are. So I love them going back and going back to his roots as a ninja and things of that nature. So I really appreciated that. I even appreciated the Batman from the recent series with Batman v Superman. A lot of people didn't like that incarnation, but I think it was arguably, in my view, it was amongst the best. And when it came to fighting, I thought it was the best fighting in the series, in the whole franchise, bar none. The Batman that you saw in Batman v Superman, taking out a room of guys the way he did, I think that is what I think a lot of people were looking for. That kind of physicality, because he's supposed to be this master of 127 martial arts or whatever. You didn't see that, but you saw a physical, brutal Batman in that. So again, whatever you feel about the whole DCEU experiment with Batman in that time, I think they did a lot of good there as far as the character himself. So I appreciated even that Batman. But outside of those Schumacher entries, I think it's been good entries within the comic book space, and certainly I'm looking forward to a dialogue tonight on picking apart these different franchises and whatnot and what's good about them. So
I agree and disagree a little bit. I think Batman '89 did open the gateway to superhero movies, but feel The Dark Knight was the best one in any Batman movies. Dark Knight to me was my favorite one. Definitely when they brought the Joker, like ho 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 ho, and when he came out, why so serious? And to me, that is a very iconic. Even people have posters saying why so serious to this day. And unfortunately, we lost a great actor that time too, because he
Yeah.
got so deep into a role, he became the role. He got he went crazy in a way. So unfortunately, as good an actor it was and good a movie, tragedy had to happen. But in your opinions, guys, what does make Batman a iconic pop culture character to this day?
I think it's
I
several
don't know.
things. I think. Go ahead, El.
No, I was gonna say, I honestly, I don't know. I just think he's just there's something about him that for every time period he's been one reinvented to fit that era, and two, it's he's DC's answer to that millionaire and what that millionaire or billionaire would do with all that money. I mean, Marvel says he's going to go build a suit of armor and fly around, and DC has this guy that um, he's just, like I was said in what thing was the Justice League movie with Ben Affleck. The Flash asks him, "What's your superpower?" I got money.
Said I'm rich.
But yeah, exactly. And he it's just the simple fact that, especially from the comics, you give Batman enough time to analyze and prepare, he's going to take you out. And it doesn't matter if you're Superman, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, give him time, he's got an answer for everything.
Paul?
Well, I think certainly there's contrasting to Superman, right? They say Superman is like the Boy Scout, right? He rescues cats out of trees. He's like the So I think Batman. I think for a lot of people, I think just people resonate with the character more. The guy who, who kind of scares you in the middle of the night. Like the guy, if you got bad guys, you don't want to be nice to them or whatever. You want to kind of, put the fear of God in them. And I think that's something that when people talk about law enforcement or justice, they want that kind of tough kind of thing. The gadgets are nice, just like James Bond. Like I've been in debates over, is Batman more like James Bond or is James Bond more like Batman? Because they're very similar in a lot of respects. They're excellent hand-to-hand combatants. They can use any weapon. They can fly almost any machine. They rely on special gadgetry in order to get things done. So I've gotten in a lot of, and people love James Bond for a lot of the same reasons. He's not a nice guy, but he gets what he needs to does what he needs to do to get things done. So it's almost like, so you almost talk about like a dark James Bond is essentially who or even darker James Bond, because I know the James Bond of the novels is a lot darker than what we might have seen in the theater, especially when you talk about the Roger Moore that kind of got a little on the campy side. But that being said, he's that cool guy. He works with cool gadgets. He's wealthy. He's got the women, because again, Bruce Wayne always plays this playboy guy who always gets the woman, but he's got the coolest car. He's got the coolest uniform on. And he deals with bad guys. He doesn't kill them, at least not most of the time, but he gets it done. So I think he's almost like a reflection of who people really are. Whereas Superman is kind of like the idea. He's almost like Jesus, He's like, turns the other cheek kind of guy or whatever. He's just like, Superman is just too nice sometimes. Whereas Batman, I think, is more kind of where people are. So I think that aspect resonates. And if you really want to take a psychological route of it, I think he's kind of relatable because he's somewhat flawed. I mean, he in a lot of ways he's messed up. Seeing your parents killed in front of you, never really dealing with that, kind of operates in this energy. I think a lot of more people are kind of in that space, not having dealt with grief or the ways in which they deal with grief. He chooses it to fight crime. But for a lot of people who haven't dealt with, but he's a bit of a flaw, even though he's brilliant, he's a genius, all those sort of things. But at the same time, you can kind of see his flaws, I think, and relate to it. Whereas Superman, a lot of times, at least the way he's been portrayed, certainly on screen, he's like, he doesn't have a ton of problems that Batman has. So I think that draws people to him. He's more human than godlike.
David?
I would just say this. Since the airing of the Batman movie in 1989, the only certain Batman movie I did not watch, I kind of chose not to watch. Those are Batman versus Superman. I did not choose to watch that. The Batman that came out in 2022, I choose not to watch that. The Justice League, where they have Batman a part of it, I saw a clip of it. I didn't want to watch all the way through. I only watched the Batman, Batman Return, Batman and Robin, The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and Dark Knight Rises. And when I look at all those movies in combined, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, to me, symbolize the actual identity who Batman supposed to be. I also play the Batman game, my Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, if you are someone like me who was a gamer who played the game and paid close to the detail how Batman is being described in the game or how he personified himself, you got to understand. Batman is almost like the anti-hero. He set a level of principle that no human can even follow it because it's almost impossible to follow. He put himself in a predicament where it's almost like a clutch. He is not allowed to kill. You went to the school of assassin, one of the most dangerous assassin crew in the world. You're trained by them to the point whereby you're going against the principle that you learn under. Me and Ghost are part of a mixed martial art. We understand when you part of a particular code of ethic, when you part of a particular fighting skill set, and you put another clutch on top of that, almost like a firewall. It's like you're walking contradiction. That what Batman really is. And the fact that his persona as Bruce Wayne, that persona was meant to not let nobody know that a severe level of darkness in him. That's like saying, hey, let me give you something to entertain you guys, but I don't want you to get near to the darkness I have within myself. If you watch all the animated TV or the game play whatever, it's almost like his real self is when he wear the costume. When he wear the suit and he stay out there in the public acting like a playboy,
That's the
that is nothing but a front.
that's the
It's
past.
meant to keep you far freaking away from him. This is the guy, even though he's from a wealthy background, no one understands the psychological trauma to watch your parent get taken away from you. It sets you in a path whereby if you don't know how to navigate that particular dark hole, you don't come out that. This is why his character, even when you bring in the supernatural, they were even saying, Constantine saying that death hates you. They hate you so damn much they're afraid of. Imagine that. Imagine that sink into your head. You are a human being. You do have scholar not about the dark art and everything, but sometimes you do not believe unless you see it in person. That's how the dark knight is. But to hear from Constantine saying that dark, no, death is afraid of him because he had cheated death so much to the point where we don't know what to do with him. And the fact in that particular animated series, when death was right nearby, they say death right, and he said, "Boo!" Death moved back. That tell you something. There's a level of darkness in this guy. Like even the supernatural finds something weird with him. He's his own person. Especially when he's in the Justice League. Dude, how are you in the Justice League? Hmm? And you got a contingency plan for every single person you work with. And they don't even know you have it. until they found out that you had that thing hanging behind their head, just in case. Who do you know operating that type of mindset? Not at the level of darkness that make the mind accelerate on a whole different level. It's not that you are intelligent. The level of paranoia that this man carrying, it's not even paranoia no more. It had a whole different realm. That's why you think Dark Side find the guy so freaking extreme because he's like, this is not a regular human being. He transcend that. So the way I look at Batman, what I think it is, he is beyond better than James Bond. He's beyond stronger than James Bond. He's beyond wiser and smarter than James Bond. That the person, the only rival that he have is actually the Black Panther. That's his only rival on that scale, but they don't have the same path. If you look at it on a comic book, where I'm a nerdy ass person, if I want to scale it back to what it is, he only have a slight edge over the Black Panther for the level of doctors, but when it comes to fighting prowess, he behind the Black Panther. Intellectually wise, they're like a rival among them. So you throw John Stark, aka the Iron Man, into the mix, but John Stark is on a different path of the ego. This guy had no ego. So when you talk about Batman, I think about somebody that know who come place and keep with a principle at the gate, like a gate yard or like a barrier to prevent you from crossing over. You know what I'm saying? Because I can go too much deep in Batman
Hmm.
because I said sometimes Batman is maybe he's not meant to be a human at all. Maybe he's a unique being that he didn't know that he's about to cross that threshold. Even the guy from the fourth war might find him scarier. You know who I'm referring to. Because believe me, Batman's not normal. He's beyond not normal. The things he do, the thing how his brain sees things, is far deeper than most. So the way I look at it, Batman Began, The Dark Knight is similar who Batman really is. Even though in 1989 movie Batman changed the landscape with with the Paul Bennett is totally correct. I cannot argue it. But to fit the criteria image what Batman is meant to be, Batman Began, Dark Knight is the active perfect picture perfect for me. And it doesn't sit well because when you mention Batman, you mention a entity that even Superman is still confused how this guy always a step ahead of him. Even he got superpower, but he doesn't. That's just something you gotta put that in your mind. The level of logic. This man logic it just don't make no sense whatsoever. It's just too far ahead of everybody else. And sometimes he look like you not know that he's thinking about too many other things at the same time. That's the craziness. It is what it is. That's my view.
So I agree with all you guys in a certain way. I want to touch base with what Paul said, the trauma of him. If it wasn't that trauma, we wouldn't have a Batman. Unfortunately, the trauma he never got help with it. But Batman Forever actually hits that to home. It shows scenes like he never faced that trauma, and it comes back and haunt him over time. Now, if we had to put which Batman movies you like in order, personally, Dark Knight's number one for me. Second, it will probably be Flash. It was not a Flash movie. That was a Batman movie. Number three, 89 Batman. Four, Batman Forever. And this one I might get criticized for a little bit for. Number fifth, because it was different and unique in its own way, is Batman and Robin. What about you? Go ahead. Go ahead, Elf. What's your order?
I'll start this off with a hot take. Uh, None of the movies have ever portrayed Batman correctly. I will say the only media that has portrayed Batman correctly is Batman the Animated Series. With that being said, my number one, if we're talking about Batman movies, my number one favorite Batman movie is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Number two, Batman Begins. Oh, excuse me. We'll go Dark Knight. Number three, Batman Begins. Number four, The Batman with Robert Patterson. No one's mentioned that yet. That movie, the first 2/3 of that movie, is a phenomenal Batman movie. How it closes, it kind of falls apart because it just seems like the writers got to a point and they didn't know where to go, how to close the movie. But leading all the way up to about the point where the Riddler gets captured, that was a great Batman movie. It was like, in my
I'm gonna
opinion, the only real movie that portrays him as the detective. Um, and my number five, well, we'll have to go 89, Batman 89. But yeah, and when I if I read a Batman comic and I'm got my internal voice of Batman, it's Kevin Conroy. I'm sorry, that's my Batman, Kevin Conroy.
okay, Paul. I mean, David.
Well, I cannot argue with Angel because Batman that I don't on Phantasm, I was thinking the same exact thing. Batman, the animated series portrayed Batman better than anything. But if you want to go further, Arkham Asylum, the Batman game, even that is better. Because I played that game so many times. And the only way I can enjoy that game, you think I'm sick in the head. I gotta have it play dead quiet, dark, around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. No one's around me. Light is off. And I'm sitting on a 75-inch TV playing and listening on 4K or 8K playing that game because his demeanor, his thinking, everything personified what Batman is meant to be. And the franchise afterward, the fact that yes, he faked his death, but he wants his protege to take over because he know he had to take himself out of the equation because if he don't, things get worse. Look what I'm trying to say. He is not a human being. They beside that movie wise, my one and two will be Batman Begin is number one. The Dark Knight is number two. The reason why his origin, what he had to go through, what training he had to go through. He was put in a position whereby Ra's al Ghul, the leader of the assassin, is forced him Batman. You're not meant to save life. You are meant to take it. And remember what I said earlier, he was a walking contradiction. You train under the most dangerous art known to man. And the art that you train under was meant to take life, but you chose not to. That the reason why Agu had that issue with him, you trying to force in him. We did not train you. We did not have you come with us for a year and we beat it into you. Angry Elf, you're in the military, right? You
Was,
going to
yes, 20 years.
you worked in the military. If you go get what you were trained to do, would I make you a walking contradiction?
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you say, "Oh, I'm not gonna do X, Y," don't your superior have a right to whoop your ass and be like, "No, I
Oh, yeah.
didn't train you." So imagine that same fundamental in Batman Begin,
Oh, yeah.
and he would title that train talking about you going to take, and you can imagine. Well, Gould said, "No, we didn't train you to save. Like we trained you to take. You want to be the punisher for this, not a
Yeah.
savior." So you gotta let that one sink in deeply. Every other movie did not have that part in there. That would let you know, okay, this man is a walking contradiction for a specific reason. There's the reason why a lot of villains is afraid of him because he will make it look he want to take your life, but he does it in a way to let you know, if I wanted to, I can,
Yep.
but I don't need to.
It's like the line he says at the end of that movie, in that subway or that train or whatever. I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to save you. And then he just flies out of the back of the train and the train crashes and blows up and all that stuff. But
See,
yeah.
This is why I say that's my number one and two. Number three, it will have to be the 1989 Batman. Number four and five, it's kind of hard to find four or five. That's what I put a disclaimer because one, the game itself, animated series, will either come on top and ship those three down to the last five positions. So it's kind of hard to find a four or five of all the other movies. Because if I didn't mention that scene from Batman Begin, I think people start to overlook that is where the origin came. Even in the game, when Azrael was telling him how you were meant to be a punisher and not a, I'm going to take your plate from, dude, let that sink in. Another student from his same class of style was supposed to replace him because they feel like he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yep.
That is much deeper than you can ever get. The fact that they were going to be a replacement for Batman, but his job was to take life, but you didn't want to take life. You have to fight it out to prove that you're a better defender of Gotham than Azrael. Come on.
So I want to swing back a little bit what Rob said earlier about one of the Batmans, the Batman. So when that movie first came out, me and our little neighborhood friend CQ had a
Mhm.
little discussion this day. So he
Oh.
thinks one Batman Dark Knight is a good Batman, and some of the other ones like Mike Keith, he's a good Bruce Wayne. But the Batman character was a Batman and a Bruce Wayne. I disagree with him. I think the I can't remember his name actor who played in the Dark Knight. He's a good
Christian Bale.
Batman. Yeah, yes, a Batman and a Bruce Wayne. So some actors are only one or the other. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, Christian Bale does well as both Batman and as Bruce Wayne. I mean, his Batman, it sounds like he's gargling gravel when he talks. He's got, I think the best version of the Batman voice disguising it was the Ben Affleck Batfleck, using the digital whatever in his cowl to disguise his voice. Um, and that's always been the really duality of playing that character is, are you going to be a good Batman or are you going to be a good Bruce Wayne? Because to a certain degree, you almost need two different actors. Now, when you talk about Christian Bale and how he does the way he acts, I mean, we're talking about a guy that has probably royally screwed his body with some of the stuff that he's done. I mean, the machinist, when he lost almost all his body weight and was basically skin and bones, to playing Dick Cheney in what was it, W, when he gained all that weight. Christian Bale's the type of actor that will go to the lengths to play the character. And I think as far as playing the duality of Batman and Bruce Wayne, he nailed it.
Agree.
So yeah.
I had to agree on that because the thing is, when I watched that movie several times, I was like, oh boy, who got it bad? Christian Bale or Heath Ledger? Two iconic actors who trying to personify a character. And that part of the Dark Knight, whereby the Joker was telling you, you and I gonna be forever. We gonna play. I was, oh gosh, I can't see another movie with these two together because it will be extremely effed up in their head. The way this Joker was pushing
Mhm.
that Batman, the way that Batman was pushing that Joker, that was the picture perfect image right there. You can tell for Christian Bale and being a Batman, he was feeling like this Joker gonna be the end of me for real. Like, gosh, don't you turn this shit off? Because
And that
that
was
thing
a
he was
problem. He
upside down.
couldn't.
That part right there, even even though if you're in the theater, you can feel it down your throat like God. And they were both alive and do another movie together. It will be it'll be off the hinges. But the thing you were doing at the Joker, and the thing Christian Bale had to be at Batman, the box office were going bananas on that time it was airing that movie, and you cannot deny it.
I remember
The
that
part
actually. You couldn't even get tickets
pe-
almost.
people was talking about the part whereby the Joker have two boat full of people, one criminal, one civilian, and he forced them, and you cannot tell me everybody in the movie theater who watched it the first time was not like, oh shit, wait. That part right there, the Joker to put people in that type of situation and Batman trying to save both of them, and he racking his head. You cannot tell me that's not gonna be number one movie compared to everybody. That way, Batman have an internal rival that it beyond personification, and that was the best movie I see hands down. Even I was saying, if Hello was stay alive and we revive that character as a Joker again on another level, what other kind of madness would we have seen in the next movie?
Oh God, who knows how far they will push it?
Now,
I think we
now
had
you
several
understand what.
movies.
Now you understand why I said that one is considered to be the best because people, I don't forget things like that movie. If you have to watch it again 3 times straight in a row in the 2025, then you have to realize, okay, oh shit, this is psychological messed up right here, really messed up. And they did an excellent part in that. Even I feel sorry for Christian Bale Batman. He got his back pushed against the wall, and there was this type of Joker. All the other Joker is nowhere compared to this Joker. This Joker was pulling all the stock, and he trying to keep up with the madness.
Hmm.
Because 2022 Batman cannot survive this madness either. He will piss on his pants, and I say it.
Paul,
Which question you want me to answer? Because initially you told us the rank, and then you moved off, and now you're saying who is the best Bruce Wayne. I mean, so I just want to make sure I'm
which one
staying
is
on
the
topic.
best Bruce Wayne slash
Mr. Paul,
Batman?
I apologize for that. It's my fault.
Like
No, I mean
everybody.
Peter asked the question, so I just want
Yeah.
to be. Honestly, guys, I would probably say Ben Affleck is to me the best Bruce Wayne
Really?
because I'm sorry, Christian Bale and Patterson, for that matter, they're brooding. Right? If you're trying to play an alter ego, it's supposed to be the opposite of whoever you are. That's how you play it off. That's how you kind of sell people on that. But I mean, Patterson was just melancholy like the whole movie.
Oh, he was emo.
Yeah, I mean, total. And then Bale too. I mean, and the thing is, he was like an outcast. Like Bruce Wayne is supposed to be a very public figure.
Uh-huh.
In none of the Nolan franchises did he ever give a speech really to anybody except for that dinner that he had, I think in Dark Knight, in the Dark Knight. But basically he was like an outcast in his own company. Like he didn't want to be like chairman, even though he was like chairman of the board. He didn't want to be chairman of the board.
Right.
So he just wanted to be off the grid. But Bruce Wayne is a very public figure. Ben Affleck in the role, whether you think about the movie overall, he was just as comfortable being in public as he was in Batman. Like I said, the scene that you talk about is my favorite line of the movie, where he's with the Flash. He's like, "What's your superpower again?" He said, "I'm rich." I mean,
Rich.
that's
Yeah.
that's as solid a Bruce Wayne line that you can drop. So I would say that his Bruce Wayne, I think, was certainly the most appealing.
Yeah.
Everybody else was just like, gosh, I don't know, do I want to be around you? The only soft side that you saw is when he was around Alfred. But everybody else, it was just like, oh gosh, what's wrong with this guy? I mean, I would say if you want the biggest contrast, I think Affleck pulled it off the best in terms of a public persona that didn't mind moving around in the streets or whatever. But I mean, even '89 Batman, I mean, when was he at like out in public? He had like one dinner party, but nobody. He didn't talk to anybody. He wasn't a man about town. He wasn't the playboy that persona that he did. He was a very brooding, sort of dark to himself type of
Yeah.
person. So I gotta
Yeah,
give I
I
gotta
mean,
give to Affleck for that reason.
I think my thing with the Affleck, I think it, and it's not fair for me to say this either. Justice League was such a what's the word I'm looking for? A hot mess of a movie.
Which one? Which one?
which one? Exactly.
If you watch the Zack Snyder cut, the 4.5 hour cut that was leaked during the pandemic, that was a much, much better film. Full stop.
Absolutely. And it's worth every moment of it.
Yeah.
But the real big thing about, and here's the tragedy of Batflick, was Ben Affleck portrayed Batman what, 3, 4 times? Never had a solo movie. The Batman, when they started production on the Batman, it was supposed to be a Ben Affleck led flick, but Ben Affleck eventually bowed out, and that's what rolled into the Robert Patterson movie. But Ben Affleck never had a Batman solo movie. He did Batman versus Superman and then Justice League, whichever
Justice League.
version you want to talk about. He had a cameo in Suicide Squad, and then he had stuff in The Flash, and that's it.
Now let me ask you a question, Rob, because I know you're one and a half of the pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know why did Affleck bow out?
Part of it had to do with studio creative differences. The other part of it had to do with the fact that as because Ben Affleck was trying to write it, direct it, and star in it, and he was having problems with alcoholism at the time, or rather, he's battled alcoholism throughout his life, and he felt himself starting to go down that dark path, and he said, "I can't do this," and he bowed out.
That makes sense. So I want to look back at something that David said. The gaming. They have a bunch of the Batman games. Personally, Arkham Asylum was a great game. Can't take it away with it. The whole Arkham series was awesome. I think it was like a movie level awesome. But my personal favorite from all three is Arkham City. I think that was the best one personally.
Yes,
Second best is
100%.
Arkham Knight. I think is the second best, and Arkham Asylum I think is the third best in that series. That's my personal opinion, of course. The reason I have in that order, Arkham City just showed a different side of Batman. But why I have Arkham Knight in second place is we saw Robin, we saw the Batmobile, we saw some different points of Batman we never saw before. To cut to conclusion, the only thing I will say, I did not want to see Batman die towards the end. If he died, that's not official either. But let's say the way they blew up his mansion, it was like, oh man, I want another one. I really wanted like a 4 or 5 series game. So F, I know you're already excited to talk about it. Go for it.
Well, if you go off of what Rocksteady, who is the studio that produced the Arkham series, says, A, you've got that Suicide Squad game that came out about a year ago. That's a continuation, and that Batman in that game is um, the Arkham series game, and it was voiced by Kevin Conroy before he passed away. And it's a hot fucking mess how they deal with Batman. It's almost an insult. And but if you want to play a game that had kind of a conclusion ish, the Gotham Knights game, though it wasn't a direct continuation, was decent, but it took it off in a different direction. But that game you played as Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Red Hood. But in my personal opinion, it ends with Dark Knight, or not Dark Knight, Arkham Knight. Excuse me. I haven't played Suicide Squad. You won't. I don't think you could get me to play Suicide Squad at this point. So it ends with Dark, and I'm fine with how that game ended. I'm absolutely fine. It was a phenomenal game. All 3.5 I
But
say
there are
half
some
because
rumors
Arkham.
going around that they want to bring him back. So I'm not sure how true that is, but I'll be fascinated to see how if they were able to bring him back somehow.
Well, here's the biggest problem with bringing him back. The voice actor Kevin Conroy, he passed away what 2-3 years ago from cancer.
Something like that.
So unless you can get excuse me, unless you can get somebody who can do his voice, forget it.
So are you saying now if they bring him back, you will not play if it's a different voice actor?
Oh no. If it's close, yeah, I'll play it. If he pays respect to the character, pays respect to Kevin Conroy, I'll play it. But it's got to be a really good game. I mean, it's got to be on level with Arkham, the Arkham series. And this is a conversation for another day, but I'm just going to say video game studios as of the last couple of years haven't brought it. And I'm kind of worried about the future gaming, but again, another conversation for another day.
Mm-hmm. David?
Good conversation. You're hitting all cylinder because we took. Okay, that clear.
All right, spit the hairball out.
Really. Anyways, I hate to say this, Angel totally correct because we talk about a icon of a character that stands out on its own in a level that there's no other character out there that can compete with it. You think of two in particularly, aka Iron Man and Black Panther. That all three don't walk the same path. It's like the battle of who stands out the most. And the way Batman is, it's almost like if you find another actor who can do it, and I hate to say it, remember I said there's a certain darkness to Batman. Didn't I say that?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to Ben Affleck trying to portray a character with a level of dark when he has his own darkness to battle with? Let's not forget what Heath Ledger had to do to portray the Joker. These are characters that if you want to personify it, you cannot take it half-ass. You have to go full freaking frontal. So that is why the animated series did it justice. I'm not gonna lie. Growing up watching the Batman animated series, you can see that look in that character. That is Batman. Batman don't care he got broken. Where Batman will still whoop your ass. Batman don't care he his leg in a clutch whatsoever. He on one leg, he still gonna whoop your ass. Batman don't care that he a bunch of broken bone, broken arm. He'll get in a bat armor suit and still come to whoop. You don't understand that. Even his butlers thought that this is over his pay grade. Like seriously, for crying out loud, why I gotta be the butler to protect this madman who put so I can imagine what my outfit have been feeling every time Batman come home and Angel like Smith and Mrs. You fucked me up, you know that, right? Your son here is driving me crazy. I thought I had gray hair. Now I got gray hair beyond the gray hair I have.
What gray
How
hair was
am I gonna
bald?
put you? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I did have gray hair, but my gray hair gave up. I go took a vacation off my head, so no hair want to go out of my forehead. So you left me with that madness called your son, and I love him dearly. But God, great, he don't even want to get no girl pregnant. He don't want to be a pookie like King Vegeta, like I was saying.
And Triple H.
Forget trying to be a triple edge. You said screw everybody. I wish I
All
have
right.
a grandson. I can hope that in case of he messed up, you know what I mean? At least I got someone to take care of. But he did got one, but he was forced to get her pregnant, and that one's even more nutcase than him. What the hell is going on with your bloodline?
All right. Time out a second before I let Paul go in next. Is this a little marinade I'm gonna add to this story now? All right. It's a rumor going around. Rocksteady, same company that made Arkham series, is working on a Batman Beyond game. Just marinate that before you say it. No, no,
Oh,
just marinate that for a minute. So, Paul,
Keep
have
Sweet
you
Baby
played
Ink
those
away from
games?
it.
Have
no,
you
no,
played?
hold on. To do the Batman Beyond game, with me, you have to do better than the Batman Beyond animated series.
I said marinate it. Meaning, hold on your
Yeah,
thoughts for a minute.
yeah, it marinated more than enough too quickly because it got sizzled up because
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
extended.
Okay, Paul.
Like
Before you were rudely interrupted with this ding dong down
no,
here,
let me
um,
explain why I had to interrupt.
oh, Jesus Christ.
Because since we talk about Batman, to talk about the game to begin with, it talk about how who played the old Bruce Wayne Grumpy did an excellent job when he trying to coach the young generation of Batman in that super suit.
All
Now
right,
to do it again, you have to supersede that.
all right. Marinate it for a minute. Let Paul go. Hang on a second, Dave. I know you're excited. Paul, have you played those games any chance?
Listen, I'm the oldest guy on this panel,
No shit.
so I don't look it though. That being said, that being said, I've only had one Batman gaming experience,
Which one is it?
and that is
Super.
1989, the Batman arcade game. That's it.
Okay.
Even when I play now, like I play old school arcade games. I'm an 80s and 90s arcade guy. Again, I play a lot of retro stuff. I don't play a lot of the role stuff, the games that take 10 hours or, 24 hours to get through. I don't play those I'm still a shoot 'em up arcade game, put my name in 3 digits on the high score and then bounce. That's kind of the gamer that I am. So I'm not, like I said, back in the day growing up, you were the cock of the walk if you went into your local downtown pizzeria or cigar shop or whatever in the arcade game and your initials were number one. That means you were the cock of the walk. You were the best. And everybody knew that you were the best. So that's kind of the era that I'm from. Like we've had shows talking about gaming and whatnot and how these games take 10 weeks to play and all that. My taste is very simple. I'm still a shoot 'em up arcade guy. Or you get to an end of a game or whatever and they play the credits at the end of the game and they play the music and everything and you're off into the sunset. And you're off to the next challenge. So yeah, so the Arkham games or whatnot, I've seen them. I've seen people post like videos of the gameplay and whatnot, so I'm familiar with the gameplay. But I've had no time, or quite frankly, the interest in investing in that. Yeah, but the '89 Batman arcade game, yeah, that's my reference right there. So
All right. All right. I didn't think you played it, but I had to ask that question at least.
yeah,
So let's swing back to Elf. Okay. So what do you think about that Batman Beyond game I just said? Let me hear your opinion.
I'd be down for it. Um, and I would be down for them to get somebody to play Bruce Wayne or voice Bruce Wayne that's close, or even you don't even have to. My thing is, um, stay close to the source material, which is the animated series, and then keep keep companies like Sweet Baby Inc. away from the production of that game, and you're fine. All you got to do is have Batman swing around, or rather, in this case, fly
Fly.
around because he has a jetpack or jet boots. Fly around, and yeah, you can. In fact, I remember there was a Batman Beyond suit in both Arkham City and Arkham Knight that you could play
Mhm.
as, which was I didn't like it, but I thought it was cool. I didn't play as it, but um, but yeah, I'd be down for it. Just as long as they did the did the property right. So yeah, I'd be down for it. At least give it a look. I'll give it a look.
David.
Told you. I told you. See what Angel Elf just said. Because if just like you watch the Batman animated series, the Batman Beyond series, it was a mainstay. It done it justice in a very unique way, but it's also connected storyline of a lineage of people who had to carry the mantle. Remember, I remember I said Batman is like no ordinary character. The fact that you have Batman Beyond along the way, there will have to be a Spider-Man Beyond collaboration going on because those characters had to be consistent. But to build a Batman Beyond game, it's one thing you got to get one who be old and gonna be at Bruce Wayne will be in that character. Then who will play the character of the new Batman Beyond? Three, you need that dog. That dog is iconic. That Bruce Wayne dog was like, nigga, yo, this is how it is. Four, all the iconic characters from the Batman Beyond game had to be in the game as well. Cannot
Uh,
brush it off. You just can't. So to build that type of game, you're going to tape after tape after tape after tape after tape. That's one. Two, you got to make sure if you're going to do this, you got to create a new franchise whereby you're not doing it shorthanded, you're not doing it underhanded either. You got to be justice. If not, you're going to have a problem. And my partner is here to add on to it, Wally.
Wally, what's going on, buddy?
Hey,
How are
what's
you?
going on, everybody? What's going on with y'all?
None. Let's get your thoughts really fast about Batman in general, and we'll continue with our conversation. Go
All right.
ahead.
So, you didn't need to put me on the damn screen for that.
Let's go.
See, this what happens when someone over here is like, "Oh yeah, get your thoughts in," and then he just puts you on full screen for what reasons I don't know, but hey, just go. Okay. Look, what's going on there? Yeah, exactly. I know, right? He's already flabbergasted. I know you ain't talking with that damn sound effect. Slow down, sir. But yes, my thoughts on Batman. One of my favorite DC characters. I know a lot of y'all out there are some glazers of Team Superman. Screw y'all. Yeah, I had to say it. I had to say it just to get that feeling in. I had to say it. Team Bats over here, all the way. Just being real about it. But look, TV shows, golden. Movies, you can pick and choose on SKUs. But at the end of the day, Batman, he is top dog. I don't care what no one say. As far as just like being a little bit in detail, honestly, I think when you think about the best work of Batman at its core, TV series, of course, anime series, which is probably like the most greatest work. The evolution part, I would say like Batman Beyond was like probably like the golden story because of the secret factor that Terry McGinnis is actually Batman's son, but on a genetic uh, lifeline. What else is there? Movie wise, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When you think about the Batman, the movie with the Joker and stuff, like that's pretty much is like the best Batman. I think the second one, I like low key favorite for me though. Low key favorite. I know a lot of people trash this one, but low key favorite for me is just literally like George Clooney's for only one reason. At least I'm able to get a Robin and Batgirl out of that. That's my only thing. Take me off the screen, Bucky.
Before I take out the screen, I got a question. Which order do you have your favorite Batman? 1 through 5.
Or see, okay, see, yeah. Order 1 through 5. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Yeah.
Wait. When we talking about one, like, which one are you talking about? Like, we talking about
Which one do you think, in your opinion, is your favorite Batman movie The top five movies. In which order would you put them in?
Top 5 Batman movies. In which order would I put them in? Lord have mercy. See, I didn't think this far ahead, to be honest with you. You gotta come back to me on that one.
I can tell. All right.
You never
you
got it
think-
from me. You let the conversation go totally left, and you never even asked me what mine was.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Here you go.
I'm gonna take it, and then I'm gonna
See?
do this another way. I'm gonna go in reverse order.
Here you go.
Let's start with the bottom feed. All right.
First of all, Paul, I do apologize. I'm sorry to skip you. I apologize, Mr. President.
Let's go with the
you
let's
just
go with the
understand this is
let's
how
go with the
it
bottom
actually
feed.
is.
Don't send me out of this country or whatever power of a president.
Hey, look,
have.
you may have more rights than I do at this point, so but we won't go there. but all right. So bottom feed, I gotta put the look. As a kid, you loved it, but again, Batman 66. I'm sorry, the Bat Shark repellent just so happened you had it handy on you, or whatever. Again, I can't give it to you, so I got to put Batman 66 at the bottom of the list. Outside of that, Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. I think those are the bottom because I think they were the campiest. They didn't treat the material seriously. And I can't talk about those movies with any seriousness because of the campiness of those and just the over-the-top nature of those films. So I can't do that. Unlike Angry Elf, I cannot compare an animated film to a live action film. My mind just won't let me do that. So as good as Mask of the Phantasm was and whatnot, I can't put that up there as far as rankings. I think animated films are kind of on a tier of their own. So now you start to get into the more serious treatments of these films. I would have to put Dark Knight Rises, so on the bottom end, because there were just certain things in there, how they treated Bane and just the whole, how it wrapped up. Unlike a lot of people, I like Batman v Superman a lot better than a lot of people did. I like, again, Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. I thought he was the best Bruce Wayne. And I think, again, the fighting, which Batman's supposed to be known for, you don't get more brutal or vicious or realistic than the fighting that he did in, especially when he was rescuing Martha Kent. So, I mean, that trumps any fight scenes in any Batman film that I've ever that I've ever seen. So I got to put Batman v Superman up there. Then I would do probably Batman Returns. Then I would put Batman. I would put the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and then Batman 1989. Again, I think it's on the Mount Rushmore. It's one of the pillar movies. If that movie wasn't successful, we may not have what we have right now. It had the best soundtrack, Prince. Come on now, Prince soundtrack. And as much as people want to talk about Heath Ledger's role as Joker, which is iconic, and people always quoting why so serious, the most quoted Joker of all time is Jack Nicholson's. Where did they get a load of me? I mean, he was so over the top in that film, and the most chilling part of the film, I thought, was his transformation process and coming out and cutting the bandages off. He just loses it then. I mean, back then it was a very chilling portrayal back then. So I in a lot of ways, as good as Heath was, Nicholson's is right up there in a lot of respects. So the better soundtrack, and I also like the noir feel of the film. I mean, this is back to the Batman of the 30s and 40s in terms of the noir design. So I got to give it that as well. If it had a downside, I wasn't in love with Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, but when he put the cowl on, he became Batman at that point. So I got to give him that. So that's the order in which I will rank my live action Batman films, with Batman '89 as my favorite and in a lot of ways the best in the series. So now you can move on to whatever you want to.
All right, before we move on, Wally, do you need a little more time to think, or want me to go to my next topic?
Go to the next one. I'll intervene eventually.
All right, so this will be a Batman conversation out me throwing a bomb in there. Marcus, what's going on, my man?
What's
So
up?
I have a little bomb and drop. So I have a little video I want you guys to watch. Let me get it ready for you guys. And here.
Woman takes a pregnancy test and is shocked by what she sees. 9 months later, a baby girl named Helena pops out. Batman visits to congratulate her, bringing presents and offering a full-on scholarship to any college. Selina expresses her gratitude, but Bruce shares his concerns about raising a child in such a dangerous city while being a vigilante. Angered, Selina argues that the East End relies on Catwoman's protection, then turns her back on Bruce and leaves. After many close calls where Helena's life was endangered, like when she gets kidnapped by supervillains, or when she literally gets shot at, Selina would have recurring nightmares of supervillains threatening Helena's life, so she begins reconsidering. She meets with Bruce and tells him she can't live like this anymore. They talk on the roof like old times, and Selina tells Bruce that in the few months Helena was alive, she was shot at and kidnapped 3 times and she doesn't deserve it. She then asks Batman if he can help her and her daughter fake their deaths to live peacefully. They execute the plan, and Bruce dresses up as bombing Selina and her baby in front of everyone. Sewers, Selina asks Bruce if her enemies believed it, and Bruce says they probably did. In the Batcave, Selina talks to Bruce about Helena's safety. Despite faking both of their deaths, she feels that it wasn't enough to guarantee a normal life for Helena. She presents her idea of giving Helena up for adoption, and Bruce agrees and helps by assembling a team to alter the adoption papers, ensuring Helena will be safe in the hands of a new family. Selina spends one final night with her daughter in East End, wondering about how Helena's life would end up. The next day, the adoption worker asks Selina if she wants to meet Helena's new parents, but she refuses, saying she can't know who they are. They say their final goodbyes, and Selina collapses to the floor.
So who want to take this one first?
What world were you going from with this?
A video I found online.
No, I'm
So
saying,
right
but like,
now-
from what framework were you going with that?
I just want to get
Right
your
now.
guys' opinions. That's all.
Okay.
For what I'm seeing
Go ahead,
right
David.
now, evidence has been shown that Batman is a high-class pookie there.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the father.
I wonder,
Batman's
hey
100%
Jedi,
the father.
hey Jedi Mike, you should be on this panel too because we got beef now to talk about Batman. Let me find out Batman to find out multiple baby, multiple play girl that he played with, and be like, oh, I cannot take care of them. Then later on, you find out they're coming after you because you're the deadbeat dad because you so messed up in the head.
What type of fuckery did I just hear?
Yeah, he was thinking Vegeta.
You know, see, again, you keep doing this bullshit. All right, sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what I have to deal with?
Talking about this bullish. At least, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing. I ain't going to say nothing. I almost say something. You always want to talk about King Vegeta. At least asserting somebody's motherfucking daddy didn't motherfucking punk out like a little bitch. Yes, we're talking about King Vegeta. Kneeling down to your master, bitch. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Shit, you want to talk about fuck her out of here. You want to talk about someone bitching out? All right. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay, King Vegeta better than
But
Batman.
look.
He the better father than Batman, right?
Well, okay. Say what?
King Vegeta is the better father than Batman. I get it.
You want to run that back one more time?
King Vegeta is better father than Batman. We get it.
Right. A father that chose to kneel against a god and a motherfucking mofo that motherfucking took over his whole fucking sane people.
Joker.
Oh, yeah. Way more better. Get the fuck
All
out.
right, all right. Let's get back on track. Go ahead, David.
All right, look. Oh, I thought he was done talking all that shit that he was boasting.
No, remember like this. That storyline it has not been done properly because besides he had a kid with the Catwoman, he also had a kid with the woman from the Lever of Saxon, Then another woman, he had a kid with another particular woman. I'm like, how many kids did this man have? Seriously, your Playboy persona put to be to cover up your track, not produce more. You know what? Single moms.
First of all, he had Damian Wayne with Talia al Ghul. Second of
Uh-huh.
all, the child with Catwoman was from Earth 2. That became Helena Wayne, and she became the Huntress.
Thank you.
But in the Huntress, in the main story or the main universe she's from a mob family, I think. I forget her lineage. But the long or the short of it is Bruce Wayne only has one legitimate child. That's Damian Wayne with Talia al Ghul.
Pause. You forgot the other child.
Which one?
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
The Terry McGinnis. You forget that part. Well, technically, it's not his child, but it's still his
Well,
bloodline.
No. But that's in the DC animated universe. That's not in the main
True.
DC. If you want to, but and if we're talking about the DC animated universe, that Bruce Wayne never had a child. He did get Barbara Gordon pregnant when Dick Grayson was gone, but she
That's
lost that
true.
kid. But yes,
Yeah,
Damian
you didn't hear
Wayne.
that part of the art, didn't you?
Well, that kid never came to terms, so it doesn't count.
Oh no, I know about that, but I was talking about Terry McGinnis though. I was
Terry
talking
McGinnis,
about that.
but Terry McGinnis, that was freaking what's her name?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But technically,
No,
still
yeah.
That's why I said bloodline related. That was Walker. That was Walker.
Yeah,
They found
Walker.
Batman's blood one time, and that they injected into all that other stuff. But yeah,
I know. Oh yeah, that story, and that's a great story, and I'm totally down for it. But yes,
I mean, that's a tough story. I ain't gonna lie though.
that
That's still, I still am sort of pissed about it because like for someone like Batman to leave his own blood around, and then just magically picked it up, I'm like, okay, y'all are very slick for that one. But personally, that's just a little bit rusty. I'm just gonna be honest.
Okay. Paul, do you want to go with this?
I think kids in general typically mess up the whole superhero kind of dynamic. I mean, it's almost like that's almost like the price you pay for being a superhero is that you typically don't have family up. I think that's one of the reasons why I think what was the movie with The Incredibles? I think that was one of those kind of breakthrough movies that kind of tried to challenge that ethos that you can be kind of a functioning family with kids or whatever. But generally speaking, I mean, I think Superman Returns tried to do that, where Lois Lane, had his son and all that. I think going in that direction, I don't think it adds much. But I think the chosen path is like the lonely path, or the best path for these guys is the lonely one. So yeah, having a love interest is one thing, but again, same thing with James Bond. To me, the messed up thing about the last James Bond movie is that he has a kid at the end. It's like you have a kid, it's like it's game over. You lose your swag, your whole it just comes off. So I don't like it when they kind of go in these directions and whatnot. So, but outside of that, yeah, probably the kid is his. Why, with all the tech, as someone who's smart and savvy as Bruce Wayne is, if he wanted to find out who the father was, he would probably be able to find out. Hello, Jedi Mike. nice makeover. Just looking at that.
Oh, once on this show, we actually have two Jedis on here. We have Angry Elf and we have Jedi Mike. So, Jedi Mike, give me your opinion about Batman. Give me your open thoughts really fast.
You give like my opinion on Batman just in general, the character.
Yeah.
So when you talk about there's superheroes, right? There's very few superheroes characters that I consider 4 quadrant characters. 2 of them really I've used the example is Batman and Spider-Man, because that character connects to many different audiences in all age ranges. You have he targets children, he targets adults, he even targets women in terms of, Batman, the billionaire playboy, philanthropist and everything. But also you have the dark, brooding, serious, and the physicality, who what Batman represents, and also intellect, where men want to be him and women want to be with him. But he, to me, I feel like Batman is the greatest comic book character. Spider-Man is probably one of the greatest superheroes, because obviously Batman doesn't have any powers, but comic book wise, you think of one character, first think of is Batman. And this has now been over for over 85 years at this point. And I got the popcorn bucket in the back for the 85th anniversary, so that lights up and stuff like that. But now, fortunately, like cinematically, I'm kind of waiting to see an element of Batman that we haven't seen, in the cinema, in terms of seeing his interpersonal relationships with his family, which is why, like, when the new James Gunn, they're announcing Brave and the Bold, is that they're going to be doing Damian Wayne as his Robin for when they do that movie. And to me, I'm want to see that position of Bruce Wayne as a father figure, not just to Damian Wayne, but also to Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, Tim Drake, all the rest of his family. That I feel cinematically we still have not gotten that, which is why when we always keep getting these Batman movies, it's always just him by himself, and understanding the actual archetype of who Bruce Wayne is, which I don't think that is necessarily boring. It's just that I know there's other elements in the comics that they have not fully explored, even when it comes to his relationship with Selina. The fact of the two lovers, but they can't, they're each other's loves, but at the same time, it's difficult because their lifestyle, who they are, to actually be together and have that happy ending. Because you have one person who might crave that, another person like, that's not me, but I still love you, right? So it's like that, that scene of in the last Batman movie with Matt Reeves, when him and Catwoman are like driving, away, and he looking in the rearview mirror at her as she's going, driving the opposite direction. No, that's love. That's a tragedy of love, at least for this character, and everything. So that's kind of known to be stern and unemotionalist, and everything. But yeah, definitely in every area of life, there's a character that Batman is the character, comic book character that people will strive towards to. And the only person that can come close to that is Spider-Man. But yeah, in terms of the character.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. I got two more videos I want to play you guys, so I'm gonna get the next one ready to go.
Finally catches Batman, and as he's hanging from the ceiling, he explains his master plan. He'll take away his costume and toys, take them for a spin, and then beat him to death with them. Joker starts by removing Batman's glove, but when he tries, a safety mechanism shocks him. After he gets up and dusts himself off, he decides to try a different approach and notices a clever little switch on Batman's boot. He stops for a second, wondering if it's another trick, but then decides to flip the switch. After all, his mother always said, "You don't know until you try." Joker stands back, thinking the boot's going to hurt him, but when it doesn't, he calls himself a super genius. He tries to remove it, but when it makes a clicking sound, he is once again sent flying back. Thinking there must be more ways to skin a bat, Joker tries a more straightforward approach and pushes a button on Batman's utility belt. Bruce tells him to be careful, since he's never gotten this far before, but as Joker tries to remove the belt, a bunch of balls drop to the floor, exploding right in his face. Joker starts to get angry, calling Batman a walking action figure. He knew that this would be tough, but he didn't imagine this, but there has to be a way. Batman asks if he's addressing his mother again, because he doesn't want to interrupt, but as he's hanging there, Joker notices a little button on his cowl. With a smile on his face, he presses the button, which activates Batman's cape's defense mechanism, breaking the chains that were holding him. Batman starts to laugh, telling Joker that for a man who loves comedy, he's really bad at improv, before knocking all of his teeth out.
All right, who goes first?
What was exploding in his face again?
Say that again.
What was exploding in his face again?
There was the little pellet bombs he has.
Oh, okay.
Elf, you want to go first?
I mean, the Joker capturing Batman. Okay, we'll just assume that he did. And yes, Batman. That just goes and proves Batman's got a contingency plan for everything. He planned out to make sure that he doesn't.
This
no one can really disarm him or at least take his cowl off and expose his identity.
David?
Oh man. Oh boy. The fact that Joker called him a walking action figure, that is a this unheard of. Oh God. Oh God. That hard. No, I'm gonna use that for somebody one day. But he is. That is a contingency plan on top of the contingency plan on top. Like, dude, you want to unmask that man? Go ahead, be my guest. Just know ain't no insurance company gonna take that injury that you will get out of. You did what? Hold on. You got injured trying to unmask Batman. Hmm. What would be the cost of that in our system? I'm sorry, we cannot help you. Look for another insurance company. I'm sorry. Bye. Click.
Paul?
If I'm going to try to make the best of this, I'm just going to say that it continues the narrative that Batman won't kill Joker and Joker will not kill Batman. That's the only way I can make sense of it, because again, I think that I think it might have been said in the Dark Knight movie that, you know, it's like they almost need each other, because if not, then that's just the stupidest thing. It's like the James Bond film. I go back to James Bond because again, I find Batman and James Bond similar. Mm-hmm. You have these megalomaniacal people who come up with the dumbest ways. They have James Bond captured. How many times have they had him captured? Have they had him tied up? They can't just kill him. You need to use a laser that's supposed to kind of go to a certain point, or some needle in the back of the head, or something that just buys him time. Then he goes into a smartwatch or whatever that Q gave him, and he finds a way to get out. You know, so it's like, are these guys really serious about trying to kill him, or is it just to advance the storyline that you have to make it so complicated? But if he really wanted them dead, he would have been dead. So this kind of gameplay between the two, it's interesting. It keeps the story arc going, and it keeps, you know, the characters, you know, constantly interacting with each other. But, you know, if I was to take it seriously, I would say, again, Joker had no intention of letting Batman die, because I don't know what he would have to live for if Batman did die. So he completes him. So I think that they're going to play that song and dance going forth. But there's no reason why you got a guy in that position that you just can't just off him and be done with it. So,
Molly? Pookie?
Look here. All right, you want to talk about someone being pooky with your sick, sedated anime that's freaking sell crack, you mother lover, you. Now, I will sit here and say this just to ride off what Miss Bennett said. Like, look, it is a little sick, twisted, little back and forth between the two. But yeah, in a sick way, they do pretty much complete each other. They're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, one's normal, the other one's that switch right in that head of theirs. You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic between the two. But I think
you said you think one is normal?
Yeah, I think
right.
No,
yeah,
I think, well,
Brian says that.
I was like, I heard that. I was like,
yeah. Well, again, when I say Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I mean personally, I believe Batman's more normal than Joker is.
It's two sides of chaos.
Yeah.
Two sides of chaos, but let's be honest. If one of them was able to walk away and live a normal life, who would it be?
That's it. Well, if you watch the Harley Quinn show, Joker has gone on with this life and had children, and got married. And
yeah, is that a cartoon or is that like live action?
But it's just still. Oh, that's like saying you're not using Batman animated series and the Batman Beyond and Return of the Joker as
we
reference.
can use the same. Hey, we can switch the same reference either which way. But if I'm pushing more of the live action type of thing.
It's also if we want to talk about the Joker, there's the argument that Joker's not insane, but he's hyper sane. The fact that he's completed the circle of sanity and he's come back around.
Yeah.
And he's that aware of what's going on that he's not crazy. He's just like next level.
Mhm.
And so, and there's also, if we want to talk about the Joker, we'll take it one step further. There's the conversation of, what is he? Is he the criminal? Is he the clown? Or is he the comedian? Or is he all three?
The three,
Because,
yes, right. Yeah.
yeah, you know
No,
where I'm going with
yeah,
this.
yeah. But explain the ideology of who the Joker is, in terms of like, is he the gangster, the actual comedian, or the maniac or lunatic? The people kind of range, and there's different sides to it. But what I mean, it's a point of saying that I think both these people are saying. Well, I keep going back to like the Killing Joke when you're talking about the parts of sanity, where the line that's saying, we all can go insane. All it takes is just one bad day. Now that
One little push.
right, and
Yep.
that mindset is something that challenges Batman, even when he's not fighting the Joker, wherever who he is. Like, hey, he can become the one person that he's trying to defeat, or the actual spirit entity that's consuming Gotham that got his parents killed in the first place, and he struggles with that inner turmoil. That aside from any other hero, they would have done something completely different. But he's been so popular for almost a century. It's because that he played that balance, and people could call it a cop out, by actually call it actual restraint and vulnerability. Because again, the fact that he pushed to that extreme of not crossing that line to kill, but of all people he can kill, yes, logically it would make sense. Like, well, yeah, take the Joker out, and even within his own family, when Jason Todd happened, he still didn't kill him. He still like, oh, what happened with Barbara? Still didn't kill him, right? Because he know that that's actually what the Joker wants. But to the point that Mr. Bennett was talking about, is that in the Dark Knight, when he was like, after he quote unquote defeated him, but really the Joker won that movie, is that he basically saying, I think you and I are destined to do this forever, right? And it's not about just saying that I'm just your greatest nemesis or anything. It's the fact that you and we need each other, but we also represents two sides of the same coin, aside from Harvey Dent, all that stuff. But you know what I mean. But that dichotomy that's why it's so fascinating. Why those two characters don't, even after 80 years, don't get boring, because there's so much to the point of playing that type of complexity in their relationship. But yeah, I think it's that's why we can't get enough of it.
Mm.
They're
Mike,
not
let me
saying
ask
he's
you a
a
question
walking.
because
No, hold on. They're not saying
hang
he's
on
a
there.
walking
there-
contradiction.
A contradiction? Go ahead.
I think Batman is a walking contradiction because what you just said
Oh,
right there, and you added layer to it because you say Joker can live a better life. He can walk with it, but Batman can't. He locked himself in a psychotic loophole whereby if you were to be normal, the principle that he applied on himself would not let him be normal. That's why he relates to Joker in a very unique psychotic way. Because the Joker see what Batman is doing, and he trying to see if I can make Batman break and accomplish something. That have been Joker number one plan. What can I do to make Batman breaks? Because he's a walking con. You don't see how you call Batman a walking action figure, but he saw
yeah,
something in Batman many people don't see.
Yeah, I
So
don't
that
know
is
if
the
the other
actual point.
people I don't know from my experience, at least from the movie genre, I don't see people looking at him as like a crazy psychotic figure. But Joker might be the only one who recognizes that in him. You know what I'm saying? At least to that depth of degree. I don't think Batman, at least in the movies, he doesn't let people get that close to him. But somehow Joker kind of knows his dark. Now, again, and then the other thing you got to think about is it depends on the movie franchise or in what incarnation of Joker that we're talking about. Because going back to what I've talked about in the past, certainly in the comics and in the movies, there's varying Joker origin stories. That he was in the Killing, he was a failed comedian.
yes, right.
Then you have in Batman '89, he's just basically a street hoodlum guy. He gets dumped in the pool of acid or whatever, and has a breakdown. And then
There's
we
a lot
don't
they
and
gotta
we don't
do.
know the origin of Joker from the Dark Knight. He just kind of shows up, but we don't know at
There's a
any
theory.
point in time whether or not he's telling the truth or not. Like when he talks about how to get those scars on his face or whatever, you don't know if he did that himself or if it was done to him. We don't know. He's a mystery in the Dark Knight. So I think Joker himself, how he's been treated in these various incarnations, but he's still linked to Batman. He's still able to see maybe a bit of himself in Batman that no one else is able to see. And I think that might be the link in their relationship, that and Batman, he probably sees it as well. But I think what Joker's aim is to get him to admit it. Yeah, you like me, but you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Before we move on, I want to ask Mike two questions because I know you have a little bit inside. I heard a rumor that might be making a Batman Beyond game. Rocksteady, who did it? You have any information on that?
That's it's not confirmed, but there are talks that they are probably in development of making another Batman game with Rocksteady and possibly be a Batman Beyond. But because you saw what they did recently with the response from Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and then they retcon saying, "Oh yeah, no, they were just clones," but no, they weren't. That's not initially what they were. They actually were trying to kill them. But I think also the response from, I believe, was called Batman Arkham Shadows. I believe what I think was had positive response to. They are in development of that, but nothing has been confirmed as of right now. Because right now in the DC realm, because you understand what James Gunn is trying to do with this new DC universe, that he said in terms of movies, television, and also gaming, which he said in gaming, and that they're trying to have that all connected. Not saying that stuff cannot continue like Elseworlds, which he said he created that separate bracket there. But do I see potential for them doing that Batman Arkham, as a Batman Beyond type of style? That can be interesting but I do believe they need a win after the response from Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, because that was unacceptable.
That's not actually Angry El's favorite game.
Oh yeah, and I like to eat glass on the weekends too.
The last question I was going to ask you, Mike, I know it's been a rumor for years and years and years about a Batman Beyond movie. You don't think it's ever going to happen?
On the movie, with that was all a response because of the whole Flash movie that came out. Because if that succeeded, they were going to make a Batman Beyond film with Michael Keaton, as Bruce Wayne coming back for that. But that project been canceled because of obviously by the time that was a previous regime with Warner Brothers, with Walter Amada and all that stuff, and Warner AT&T and all that stuff, and then after the response to Flash, it basically, even though Michael Keaton wasn't the issue, that basically kind of put a stop on the Batman Beyond movie. But honestly, I don't believe that is still a realm that never can happen. I think there's still audience people are craving for with that IP. Even they had a cancel like animated film that they were just making a concept of that was inspired from across the Spider-Verse films in terms of animation, right? And they still didn't move forward. So like there's a needle threading, like how many years it took for them to make a Deadpool movie. Now we already got 3, like it's possible. I'm gonna say never with this IP. And as we're getting more in terms of different forms of storytelling, like a Penguin, what James Gunn saying he want to highlight other characters that he's also tying to, like Milestorm characters or characters from like from other DC affiliate IP and stuff like Watchmen and other things. So those things, I feel like you never say never on those projects though. But for Batman Beyond film, yeah, that was canceled because they were ready to be in development if the Flash film was positively received, but it was a failure, as you know.
I might be, maybe I'm the only one on the panel who's going to say this, but I didn't think that was a Flash movie. I felt more as a Batman movie because when Batman came out and started fighting and kicking ass, I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. The rest of it was boring the shit out of me. I didn't like none of the Flash parts, but when Batman came in, He was like swinging around, kicking, using his gadgets. I'm like, ooh, now I'm awake. Maybe I'm unique to that. But the other thing I was going to say also, everybody I have this conversation with Batman, the same topic comes up. I just asked you. Batman movie, Batman Beyond movie, Batman Beyond. Everybody keeps asking for it. I don't understand why they just pull the trigger and make it.
Because they can't. So this is the same thing why you ask why they can't make a Static Shock project when it's the same thing, because it's a level of risk, and also that is Warner Brothers and DC most popular IP. They've been riding the coattails of Batman for decades with this studio, which is what a lot of DC fans were asking you to expand beyond that. No pun intended, because DC Comics is such a vast, rich history. But even then, it's now been what 20 some, almost 25 years or so, and now we have Jon Stewart live action coming, right? We're getting that. So I don't, and even then I know Milestone is say they're working in development of a Static Shock film, but that's still in the realm of possibility when it comes with James Gunn. But I know that James has a passion for highlighting characters that have an audience in terms of fans waiting, but just having the opportunity to be showcased on screen. But with Batman, it's like the situation we have with Captain America. Are people going to accept going to a Batman film who some people didn't even watch the animated series, right? Are we going to accept someone as Batman who's not Bruce Wayne? For us, it's simple because we have that. We've seen that. There's comics, even the Brave and the Bold comic when Dick Grayson took it, and stuff like that. So it's not for comic fans. We have to think there's a business side and there's the fandom side that we have the conversation. This is a business question. So that's why when every time he's like, why is it so hard, so difficult? Because the moment they don't want to mess and have anything infringe on the Batman IP, which is why after Batman and Robin, you haven't seen Robin in any film live action for like 20 years because of what happened. So they like, okay, so that's why they became overly protective of that IP in any form. So same thing with Spider-Man. Whenever they do Miles Morales, even though I know insider on that, they're waiting for those Spider-Verse films to be over. Then they'll get into Miles. That's a very, very touchy thing. Like Spider-Man is our $1 billion IP, and we're not going to do stuff like that's why you were lucky that those Sony spinoff films, those Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man, did not do much to damage the character of Spider-Man. It did might damage Sony as a corporation in terms of how the follow this IP, but it still didn't mess with. You still see Peter Parker as Spider-Man. When you start mixing and mingling and stuff, but you don't execute it properly, that's going to have an effect in the audience. So that's the thing where there's a risk they're not willing to take as of yet. Never, ever. I won't say never because we've seen that, anything happen in this industry. But yeah.
So, Mike, let me ask you. So at the
hold on, I'm done my question. Okay, go ahead.
Let me
Paul go first. Paul go first. David goes next. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you talk about the Robin IP. So I know, obviously, at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, it's assumed that the guy Levitt, he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be a Robin, or that he hint that he could be Robin because that's his name, or he's going to be the next Batman. Was there, from what you know, was there any serious consideration to having another movie featuring Gordon Levitt as Batman or Robin? Was that a serious consideration, or that was just something they just kind of left out there?
No, that was not. There was no. I remember this is before I became a journalist. Now, I've been starting writing for outlets now. You start when you're in this space, you understand when you're seeing on Instagram, Twitter, especially Twitter, how when a bunch of news and speculation come, and when you see confirm or fact, like I can make a post right now, say DC is in development of making Ben Affleck Batman series or something like that, whatever, right? And I can say, and I don't have to cite my source. I don't have to say anything. I can just have in big bold letters and a picture and put it on my social media, and people take it for fact. And that stuff it's been happening for years, which is why, for me, as someone who want to keep my journalistic integrity, I'm making sure that when something comes out, you need to know what the legitimate source is coming from, and also for the words verbatim coming from who had control over that narrative, which was Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan had no desire to move forward beyond the Dark Knight with beyond Bruce Wayne. That was a Bruce Wayne story wrapped and complete. With that ending with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that was just a tease just to the Batman lore, and like, okay, well, we're just gonna say Robin as just as an Easter egg for fans, but we're not. But he was positioned not to be Robin. He was positioned that character say to take the mantle of Batman, saying that Batman still lives on in terms of Gotham. However, this trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, if anything, it should be called the Bruce Wayne trilogy, which is what Christopher Nolan was focusing on, since the beginning. So once that was completed, that was it, and that was just showing in that story of the Dark Knight Rises, saying that, hey, regardless of Bruce Wayne is the story that's done, Batman still lives on, and which is why, like, when you see the cave and everything and ended like that, that was just showing how the legacy continues, because that's Gotham needs a Batman. So that was kind of representing that type of like spirit influence that Christopher Nolan wasn't putting in there. But people, I remember back, was it 2012? Yeah. And a lot of people like, oh yeah, they're making a Nightwing movie with him, and they were making a Robin movie. Like, no, that was never in discussion, never talked about it. So yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
David?
When you mentioned about why they may not going to make on a Batman Beyond movie because of another particular character like Static Shock, whatever, it is also possible because of the character Static Shock, you might make a cameo appearance of Black Lightning to be over influenced, so to speak.
So, let me educate you real quick. One second.
Because I know when I told that franchise they were doing, and they were doing the collaboration with that and Supergirl, whatever,
So
it was kind of like
this right here, this is my milestone appendium of Volume 1. Now I encourage you guys, Black History Month ain't over, please. Is that so milestone, for those people who don't know, is a separate entity beyond DC and Warner Brothers in terms of as a corporation. So when they were making these characters, they had a license to actually distribute where they can put Static Shock the show and have it be within the DC continuity with the Batman series and everything, because you also have Dwayne McDuffie, who also is one of the another Black History fact, one of the first writers or showrunners attached into Marvel and DC. He was the guy to spearheaded. So all your Justice League Unlimited, your Batman anime series, your Superman anime series, Dwayne McDuffie was a part of that, along with Bruce Timm and everything. So Static Shock characters like Static, Icon, the Rocket characters you saw in the Young Justice series, which is the only appearance they ever have beyond the comics. Those were because they were tied to Milestone IP, right? So just for example, like when James Gunn announced they're making a project called The Authority. The Authority is a part of another comic entity, Wildstorm Comics, right? So it's a separate IP that wasn't just originally created within DC Comics, but yet they were able to have a merger to able to use those characters in the DC Comics and stuff. So that's why you get stuff like a Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan showing up in and having a DC Comics arc and everything like that, right? You're like, wait, I didn't know. Wait, Watchmen, Rorschach, The Question, those separate characters, but because they're different IPs and everything. So that's why the reason why you could not have Static in the Black Lightning TV show on CW, because they were going to have, that was a whole licensing, even just having that character appear to where they're not at that time, they were not in the position to make that call.
No, that makes perfect sense. I like the clarity because I was thinking about that, the logic behind it. But when you broke it down that way, it makes more sense.
Yeah, but now because it's not impossible, there is an audience for it. Like, and I always keep saying, like, Static, that is your DC's Black Panther, in terms of level of success. Like, you want to talk about $1 billion people getting up, like that show was ahead of its time. Talk about gun violence, talked about, much as we talk about how today with quote unquote wokeness and stuff in media and everything, that show was intellectually ahead of its time, addressing that to a younger audience that even after 20 years as a community beyond just Black people, we all know that character. because of those shows. And the reason why that show got canceled was not because people weren't watching it. It's also because television at the time, if you weren't selling toys, you weren't getting on air. So, and it was hard
Right.
to market a black kid on a superhero toy at in the late or mid 90s when it came out. Right, there was only one
Makes
ever
sense.
toy that was released that got discontinued and everything. But obviously, we make leaps in the in this corporation and everything. So yeah, and now people think about Miles Morales. I'm sorry, I know what Static had to walk so Miles Morales Spider-Man could freaking swing. Let's keep it real. And anybody see those two arcs, they're like, that seems familiar because Static did it first. So, and he's his own character. He's not a derivative character resisting, like, he's not no Black Lightning replacement. He's his own character, and which has way more weight to, especially about representation, because there's a whole other conversation about, hey, well, why does we have to have legacy characters be derivatives of stuff before? Why don't we just have originals? And you have it right here. And it's just a matter of the opportunity to actually have those projects. But I have faith, right? When we start this DC universe, that we're going to be seeing more things of James Gunn's mind of taking characters like, Creature Commandos, great show. Like, who knew who those characters were? But they just gave them the opportunity. Now they got greenlit for season 2. So the same thing can be for this character. And I just feel like it was done with care and, more importantly, respect. I feel like this is going to have the profit, the money talks and BS walks. I always have that saying when any terms of projects or anything, when people like, when we ever going to do a Batman Beyond and other stuff, the money will speak for itself. So, and only time will tell.
All right, Rob, you have anything?
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Michael said. Could have been,
Water, are you?
yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and DC has licensed a whole lot of stuff from Wildstone to Milestone, Wildstorm and Milestone. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, there's been a lot of licensed stuff, and it's yeah, uh, this stuff is great. If you haven't read any of that, especially the Milestone stuff, what are you doing? Like that was the great stuff in the it came out in the mid '90s, if I
Yep.
remember right.
Yes,
I
correct.
mean, I remember when it came out, and I got some of the Icon and the Static Shock stuff, and I was like, this is great. This is great storytelling. And then, yeah, that's one of the good things, especially about when Jim Lee came over and took over as the head of DC. He was smart by starting to pull some of that stuff in. Um, and then decided to not just have it underneath the DC banner, but pull it into the greater DC narrative. Um, so yeah, there, yeah, we've gone way beyond Batman.
But,
No, no,
but
no.
no, it goes back to just
I
saying
don't.
about Batman
I don't
Beyond.
think we're gonna beyond that. It's still connected because from Batman you gotta get Batman Beyond, but the thing with Batman Beyond, what the like is saying, there's the intellectual property into behind that. That's what I mentioned about the part of Static Shock. It might lead to Black Light, and when he broke out the
Mm,
milestone situation, that made perfectly clear. Because when I was watching this series with Supergirl, then Flash collaboration,
yep.
then you had the Black Lightning collaboration. I'm trying to make sense of what is going on with the direction they're taking, because in the retarded way, you kind of like wiped out the Black Lightning series as if other the character that would make along with his show would no longer exist, only him alone. Then you still kept the Supergirl character and the Flash character as they can stay, but the rest cannot. You get what I'm saying? So in that hindsight, I'm looking at the production. How you gonna do this storyline? How you gonna go further than what it is? Because it's almost like he's saying for a black character to sell, you gotta make money on the toy production and the toy
Yeah.
merchandise sale and yada yada yada. And it kind of like why I say me and Wally always point out between that genre between cartoon and anime, we have that discussion. Yeah, this is why me and Wally are very animated because what we say, I mean, made it very clear. Our show there's no protection. We call it out for what it is. Anything contradicts it, we will call it out. That's why we have that fundamental. It worked well. And having Jedi Mike here adding more information, it kind of critical to understand the direction of the franchise that we so love. What the next step, what is going to happen next, what's coming out to, because you're right, there is a huge fan base want to see Batman Beyond. No shot of a doubt. It's a given. But for how long are we going to wait for it? That's the question. Until our generation who knows about it fade away and you bring it out into something completely different that doesn't match what we know? Let's think
And
about
one thing I'm worried about if they do make it, you know how you're excited about a movie come out and you're waiting for years and years and years, and then it just fucking bombs completely. It's nothing like what we wanted. But one thing I will say, though, till now, DC has done a great job with shows. Arrow, for a great example, Arrow did a great fucking job. Hopefully, they could turn around the movie stuff and actually make a decent series of movies. They've been dropping on the ball that really bad. But hopefully,
Here,
go ahead,
here's
Rob.
my problem. I was gonna say here's my only problem with DC and Warner Brothers. DC Warner Brothers could have made a Justice League movie back in 79, 80. I mean, DC has been owned by Warner Brothers since the word go almost. And the fact that it wasn't until the 2000s that they decided to start making a movie, um, that's just poor management on my, in my opinion. Um, there's always been fan casting and fan stuff about like, a Michael Keaton, Christopher Reeve link up, movie or whatever crossover. Unfortunately, Christopher Reeve, injured his back from that horse riding accident. But
that was years
That
later.
was years
though.
later, but yeah.
oh
but
yeah,
That was like, yeah, I'm saying up to like if they would have, I mean, Superman 3 came out in 83, not the greatest entry.
Right.
You know, again, I think they went a little slapstick with Richard Pryor in
Sure.
it or whatnot. But could there have been some sort of, and it wasn't like Christopher Reeve was like, because I just watched a documentary on him. It wasn't like he had a ton of work projects. Right. His career kind of faltered later on, so I'm sure he would have been up for it. So yeah, if they could have found a way to bring in the Superman ethos into the Batman, you're riding the 89 and 92 success. Reeve, I think he might have been, I don't even think he was 40 years old by that time. So I think he was still a relatively young guy. So it's possible they could have linked up those worlds. But again, it's like it's never been done before. I think but the DCU is basically a byproduct of the MCU.
yeah, absolutely.
They saw the success and how the Avengers and everything. So okay, we got to get in on that. But that's just like anything else, any other studio. It's like they need to be able to see it first. Mm-hmm. Very few projects get greenlit like that. So but once they saw it, it's like everybody kind of jumped on it.
Absolutely.
But again, to ask them to do it that time, that would have been a time when 89 Batman came out. That was like they definitely could have dusted Superman off the shelf and brought some.
It's even in that cameo. Blink and you miss it in I Am Legend. Remember, there was a movie poster in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were thinking about it. It's just they just didn't have the the cojones to pull the trigger.
Yeah, chicken shit. They're scared to actually pull the trigger. So, guys, we're coming close to the show. Let's get our final thoughts. Let's go in order. Rob, David.
Well, can I just ask one more question before we get into that? I know certainly in the movie space, there's always been the argument of, again, Batman not killing. And I know some people certainly took offense to him killing people in Batman v Superman. And even, I always bring up, people don't want to believe it, but he actually killed people in the 89 Batman. When he let the grenade out of the Batmobile in front of those guys who were shooting up the car and it blew up. So you can assume that those guys were off. But what do you guys think about that? Or what if they took the glove? Is that so essential to the Batman?
It's not actually, Paul, because the original Batman carried a gun on him. People forget about that. He was in this two shoes. Don't kill. Don't like what kill. Pop and like, what pop. And like he blew your brains out, and like he says screw this. And like.
So I'm just saying. So what if they? because like I said, I really like Ben Affleck's again. The movie franchise again. I get it gets mixed reviews, but I keep going back to Ben Affleck. That fighting scene,
Great. The warehouse.
I mean,
yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
I mean he was breaking dudes up. I mean didn't care. I mean
He was
brutal.
fucking people up. And
So what if you brought an R-rated Batman
Oh yeah.
for the next film that really just no rules, almost like a Deadpool kind of thing, but again, you just made it where stuff's gonna pop off. Are you gonna lose the fan base because of that, or do you think it may even it may enhance it to a degree? But that's always been like a sore spot with some people in certain sectors.
Here's the one thing about the Ben Affleck Batman was he was modeled after the Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller's story, where that Batman was one old and grizzled, and two had given up on pretty much everything and gave zero fucks about whatever. And I don't recall in the comic if he killed, but that kind of freaking goes along with it. This is a Batman. You saw it when he walked through his Batcave. He lost a Robin to the Joker. Now, the question of it is, was that Dick Grayson or Jason Todd? It doesn't matter. He lost his partner to the Joker. This is a guy that probably was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I need to start bending the rules. And he even said it, talking to Alfred about, dealing with Superman. Like, no, we give no quarter. We go after this guy. And I think that's a Batman that's been doing. I think at that point, Ben Affleck's Batman had been doing it for 20 years. Some of us kind of, you're doing the same job for 20 years. You kind of get like, fuck this. I'm going to just do what I need to do to get the job done.
Hmm.
And people forget, like I said earlier, people forget about the original Batman. He was very dark. He was in his tutu shoes. He had a little, I can't remember what car he had. It was like a little symbol he put on. That's what it was. And he jumped from rooftop to rooftop, and he didn't give a shit. He just wanted to get the job done. That's all.
But I'm just wondering, you could probably pull off, because again, I mean, Deadpool was, I think, somewhat of a risk for Marvel. That was like the first R-rated superhero movie, I believe, right?
I was
Blade
20th Century Fox.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it didn't have track. I mean, it has a dedicated fan base, but it didn't break the fourth wall, so to speak, the way Deadpool did.
You're right about that.
I'm saying Deadpool.
But
right. So I'm saying, but if DC want to go in an R-rated direction, the only one I can really think of that they can do with one of their majors would be Batman. And I'm just curious in terms of how that would be received if you made it a dark, bloody, sort of venture. How would the public take that? It would be edgy for sure, but I could certainly see it with that character, especially when it came to dealing with the vilest of offenders. If you made Joker truly the sadistic, murdering person like Heath Ledger was, I think it would emote a visceral reaction.
I think
that people would embrace, but
I think
I could be wrong. But
if they do that, it's going to be a 50-50 mix on that one, because you have the hardcore newbies, I call them, from 90s and up, saying he doesn't do that. But you have the old heads like myself, Rob, and everybody else on this panel saying, no, he actually did that. That's how the original Batman was. So it's a 50-50 mix. So let's go around the table and see what everybody says. Rob, you want to go first?
Well, if take it into a freaking rated R realm, I think it's got potential. I think, one, here's the kicker. You're going to have to get a good writer and a good director to do it. And then you're going to have somebody who's brutal, like Alan Richardson. Alan Richardson could probably play a freaking pretty nasty Batman. And take it from there. And just, here's the other thing. And one thing we haven't touched on is the Rogues Gallery. We've talked about the Joker. We kept going Joker. You got to pick a good Rogues Gallery for him to go against. And that's another problem with the Batman movie franchise, they've stuck till about 5 or 6 Batman villains, but there's some others I'd like to see. Like,
Court of
he was in a
Owls.
Suicide Squad. It doesn't count, but what about some Killer Croc? So, but yes, you could definitely, I could definitely see a rated R film. You get some of the more brutal bat villains. Mr. Zaz, that's another one. Who's a serial killer.
The Victor
Let
Sass.
him go after Mr. Zaz. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, but he's actually in the Dark Knight. He's in Batman Begins.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's in one of yes. Yeah, no, you're right.
And
But
he
I'm
was
talking
also
about
in the Birds of Prey movie that nobody watched. But yeah,
oh, I watched it. But bring somebody like Mr. Zaz front and center. Just don't have him sitting in the shadows.
he's
Yes.
in the Gotham TV show as well. Um, so yeah, so he's but like to full on like the way the Arkham games, kind of displayed him and stuff like that. That type of, I think it's, but I believe it's coming. If you saw Creature Commandos, Batman or list appears his silhouette, but it's like the
Yeah.
physique is like a bigger. It's not Patterson Batman.
Nope.
Now I've actually I've reviewed all of Reacher season 3, and I was very hesitant when his name kept coming up because I watched this dude since Smallville when he was Aquaman, right? I'm like, nah, not this, like, no, not this guy, right? Even when he played Hawk in Titans, I was like, yeah. I will say this with this in Reacher season 3, I saw a level of intellect from him in his performance that I'm like, okay, I can see him be doing this as Bruce Wayne, but it has to be the way he carries himself, and not just physique and not just being brooding force emotionally, right? Also in terms of his inner struggles, his demons and everything, but also playing the detective type of style
Yeah.
person and everything. I was like, okay, there's certain actors you given that, that baton to holding that mantle as Batman in your career. And but I've seen him grown as an actor. I'll just say that in the last
Yep.
couple of years. But like for Richard season 3, I just wrote an article on that. I know the first episode dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the entirety of this entire season, when you guys will watch it, I was impressed with him. But to the point of wrapping things up on this is like, I feel, yes, his rogues gallery is massive, but cinematically been limited because there's popularity of it. I think with the Patterson, Matt Reeves side of things, they're definitely going tied to that. I think they're going to do Court of Owls. I think they're going to do some other noir type of villains and everything. But even when it comes to the main DC universe with James Gunn, I know the main thing he goes in comics like and deep end, and like if you saw Easter eggs that was in Creature Commandos, is like this dude is reading and understanding all this stuff here and respecting this history, even going back to stuff in the like 50s and 60s with DC comics. They're not mainstream like DC comic, like with Sergeant Rock and the Greeting Company and stuff like that. You have other things like from the Creature Commandos aside, where it's like they're tied into the history of DC Comics, not just main big Holy Trinity. So I know that he's moving forward with this is like you're gonna see those themes here, so more comic accurate type of depiction. With the killing of him, I disagree in terms of, yes, in the Silver Age of comics, that establishment of terms of him killing not using a gun or anything, because that came from Golden Age, where you saw his original drawings of having that, but they decided to move away from that. But in the 80s, in the Silver Age, that type of psychology of his character was forged to a point where we all know today in terms about his rule of not trying to kill, even to a point of actually using the gun that killed his parents and actually melting that and using it as a plate, and then he put it behind the bat symbol in his suit, and as a metaphor, basically the gun that I used to kill my parents is now being put as a plate to protect my heart, like okay.
You go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, I feel with the killing, that was the biggest thing that with the Snyder, verse and everything that people had controversy with. I knew that Zack Snyder had his own vision of what he wanted that Batman to be. But I think there's a middle ground to that. Even when the stuff saying that you're living a freaking dream world that this Batman doesn't kill. I'm like, I disagree with that. Because there's such a psychology of him, of that character, about why he doesn't do it. Which you see that mindset played out with the rest of Robins. Like Jason Todd has guns, like, and but at the same time, understanding his upbringing, what made him to the point of doing that, right? So us, Damian Wayne, trained by assassins, by the league, by a league of assassins and everything. Your grandfather is the demon's head, Ra's al Ghul, that kills. So to have a killing Robin now put with Batman, that's why I'm excited to see that with Brave and the Bold, because you're seeing that dynamic with his own child. So that's like that, which we have never seen before, live action. So I think the future for Batman is bright. And I do believe in terms of the writing, they're going to have care in terms of how they're going to treat this. If you watch like Cape Crusader, like other content, more Batman stuff is coming, and everything. But I have hope. I have hope.
David.
Now, I am so tired that Jedi took some of my talking point. I was like, God damn, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna mix this one
I'm
out.
sorry.
Because I remember when I was saying about no, it's okay. Because to see an R-rated Batman movie done properly, the closer that was with the Red Hood animated series. Because I was thinking, how you make the Red Hood live action version of that? When the closer to that war will be that of the Batman Began, when he was facing Ra's al Ghul. To remember I said earlier to the training and how you said it, he wasn't going to save him, but wasn't going to kill him. That type of portion point of it, because the Red Hood storyline is R-rated, almost going close to the top of too gory rated. Because for one, you have to show the scene Todd getting murdered by you know who, Joker, and have him go to that cycle whereby his body went to the pool or where Ghoul had to bring him back to life. And the dimension, it's like if you're gonna do such a movie, you have to force the audience to not even pick up their phone. They'll be like the same feeling they had when they're watching The Dark Knight, when the Joker had those two boats and had people guessing who will flick the switch first. That type of feeling, if you ask me. So you had the Red Hood storyline, you had the Azrael storyline for R-rated version of Batman. Am I right or wrong? Because the Azrael, he will be replacing Batman, saying Batman not the right protector of Gotham. And when they went about it, it was no joke. Even they had it in the game system. Um, hmm. The fact you had to bring the bold, I'm looking to see how that will stand out because I'm very critical when it comes to the Batman franchise. Because the Batman franchise throughout most of the time, beside the Batman Begin, the Dark Knight, it's more PG rating kind of. It's more watered down Batman. Wasn't the type of Batman needed. 'Cause remember, Batman, the character itself is it's beyond dark, but also a contradiction as well. So to see me in the fatherhood mindset, that'd be cool. Then again, DC comic, I have a bunch of bad parents anyway, so I ain't gonna worry about that part. Pun intended. While they don't talk.
Oh, I think it's my turn.
But
Right, Bookie?
don't get them started right.
Go ahead, Wally. You're up.
but the thing is, but the thing is, the thing about the Batman franchise, this is the only franchise in DC that is very critical of every other character out there. Because if it's not done correctly, then who would do it properly? I see the argument. Ben Affleck with a better Bruce Wayne, I give it that. But to me, Christian Bale with a better Batman to me. But hey, we're gonna have the debate forever, so it doesn't matter. But I'm looking forward to see how they will come about showing the R-rated version, the type of one whereby you forcing him closer or beyond the level and contradicting himself. See if you have to do what necessary needs to be done to revenge for Todd, Gracie, and all the other characters that got taken out by the villain. I want to see a movie that forced him, literally have him question his principle. That'll be hard to find.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Wally.
Oh, Wally.
So what was the question again, Mr. Bennett?
How was King Pookie looking like?
The question on an R-rated Batman where you remove this sort of pseudo etho code of him not killing people. So if you take the gloves off, and could you pull off an R-rated movie where there is
Elseworlds, maybe
taking the Ben Affleck Batman and amping it up a little bit more?
yes, in a Flashpoint with his dad Thomas Wayne as with the guns. Yes,
Flashpoint, yeah. Thomas
played
Wayne.
by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But anyway, which was one of the original drafts of the Flash movie until they switched it and made it like, you know what, let's add Michael Keaton. Yeah, so that was the original script of the Flash movie to bring back Jeffrey Dean Morgan because he played Thomas Wayne in BVS. So that was originally going to happen, but nah.
Why do you got anything to say before we go?
He already took them.
All right, let's get our final thoughts in. Rob, you want to go first? David, Paul, Wally, and Mike.
My final thought is legitimately Batman has survived 85 plus years. Batman's going to be around for another 8,500 years. This character is not going anywhere. DC has a gold mine and they know it, and they're going to mine this one until they can't mine it anymore. He's one of the greatest characters. He's going to live on forever, and I'm here for every second of it.
Batman. One of the most darker characters in history in the franchise of DC. I can see how Batman will come out to be and become an immortal being. Because someone down the line, they're going to do something to him whereby he will incorporate the symbol of a bat himself. Can I remember the animated scene whereby they almost got him injected by the bat to making him almost turn like a bat? I can see that happening to him in a very unique way, whereby he had no choice but to be the bat himself and be the real icon. But it takes a good person who have a great imagination how to bring that thing out. Live action, I don't think so. Animated or CGI, it's possible. That's the nature I have. Other than that, this is a great franchise to debate and talk about and bump head because it'll make you want to wonder how this icon of a person is still bigger than Superman, which he is bigger by far. All right, that's my point of view.
No question. Certainly iconic franchise. Maybe a little bit inconsistent in terms of like powers and abilities sometimes. That gets a little frustrating. And again, the frustrating thing for me has always been the fighting. Again, if he's supposed to be arguably the greatest fighter in the DC universe and could take on guys like Captain America or Shang-Chi, I've seen dozens of videos in terms of Batman versus Black Panther in terms of fighting style. If he's supposed to be that good, I would like to see a better representation of that on the screen. That would be my only complaint. So maybe getting some stunt people, like I just saw, Captain America again for the second time, and obviously the stunt actor. If you look up YouTube, at the stunt actor that plays him, I mean, freaky stuff. I thought Ray Park did some crazy stuff, but this guy is off the chain. And I would like to see more of that, certainly in a Batman film, to see that, if he's supposed to be a master of 127 fighting styles, it doesn't necessarily come across on the screen the way I think it should. Like I said, Ben Affleck, I keep saying it again, he's the only guy that came close. It's like he's a bad boy. And I think I want to see more of that. I want to see more action. I want to see more violence, if you will, in terms of showing the lethality of Batman in these franchises going forward. But again, it certainly has been for all my life, going back from the 60s show all the way up. Shout out to Adam West and those guys as campy as it was.
Yep.
But I appreciate the franchise overall, and hopefully they'll continue to make a good product going forward.
Well, all I can honestly say is when it comes out of all the DC characters, Batman just my goat for all different reasons amongst everybody else's own. But I know there's a question asked as far as the top 5 movies of Batman. So here's mine, right? After I just constantly looked and think about it a little bit. But Dark Knight would be my 1, Batman Forever would be 2, Batman Returns be 3, The Batman, aka Patterson's Batman. I actually like that a little bit. And then of course, like I said before, low key on the bottom tip, Batman and Robin. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, Batman, regardless of a lot of things that he is known for, as far as his character, he's the most very well intrusive character that has multiple different dimensions about him, which is why I like him very much. You don't know where he can go with the stuff because there's so much different versions and you can just pretty much build off of him in multiple different ways. But other than that, yeah.
Wait, you put Batman Forever above the Batman Matt Reeves in 20 from
Sir, this is my list. This is what I'm going with for the time being. If you want me to go recheck it, I'll do it later, sir. I'll do it later.
Okay.
With the gunshot.
No, I was just making sure I heard what I heard. I was just like, okay.
Again, this is just a cut up I just put up. I like it. Boo-hoo, sorry for you all people.
But I was just saying again, this character again has been here for 85 years. He'll be here for 85 more. And I think again, as I said, 4-quadrant character that he appeals to a mass audiences and is a $1 billion IP. Warner Brothers has been proving this because they've been riding the coattails for Batman forever, and I feel like they should, no pun intended, but I feel like they should able to expand other elements of this character, which I feel even has been 85 years, even though it has been like about a good 40 years cinematically. I still feel there's left to be on the cutting room floor in terms of the potential, how far you can take this character, and not only just with him, but also the Bat family and in general and everything that's all tied to him, Bruce Wayne, the character. So, but yeah, I feel the future is bright, and yeah, this was a good discussion. Thank you for having me.
I think Batman has a lot more years, like Mike said. I'm still hoping to God they bring out Batman Beyond and to do justice to it. But let's do a quick schedule update. So for tomorrow, me and Paul, we're going to be talking about sex with cultures, how it is different, seen different, and everything on a gray area. Or did I get it wrong?
Don't act, Mike.
We're going to keep it a respectable conversation. Okay.
Well, that's the funny part.
Without going R-rated. But yes, you're more than happy the guys to tune in tomorrow where we explore sex across cultures. And I know Sparta Pete, I know he's bragging because Greece, according to a recent Durex survey, has been rated the most sexual country in the world. So he's over there bragging about that. But we're gonna tackle the topic, but tastefully,
respectfully,
right? So again, somewhat. You don't, yeah. So it's not. We're not gonna get smashed. But yeah, we're gonna do this,
especially Nigerian sex. So just that one alone.
So on Wednesday, the guys are talking. Paulie and David are going over Gungrave. Let's see how they break this one down. And on Thursday, we're gonna be back at it with "Sex is not love" and "Love is not sex." Yep.
Mike, don't come. Do not come.
Oh, I want him to come to that one.
Get in trouble.
And next week, and I know. Shut up, David. You know what? That's it.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
And next week, next Saturday on our Hangout Operation, we'll be talking about Jedi's escape, surviving of the Force. So I know Rob might be making extra time for that one.
I hope I can make one.
What about you, Mike? You think you're gonna make that?
Look at Jenna Mike. Look at Jenna Mike falling out right now. Look at Jenna Mike.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, dude! I haven't him cry on shit.
I know where that sound bite just came. I don't know where the hell you got that from. That was perfect.
Did I be surprised you would have my face on it and we play that anyway for YouTube shit? We're doing this all the time.
I was just saying, next week we're going for Jedi Escape, Surviving of the Force. I know Rob's definitely going to try to come to it. Mike, you're welcome to come next week. You're always welcome on this panel. So, except that, guys, got anything else before we go?
Nope, all good.
As always, this was the
We
Spartan
all
Institute
good.
Network. I am Ghost of Sparta. This was Operation Hangout. Stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I'm Batman.
I'm back.